Hi, and welcome to this edition of Friday Fuel Up. We're going to be sitting down and talking with the head of nutrition for the Denver Broncos, Bryan Snyder. We're also going to get an inside tour of the Broncos facility, and we're going to be giving away a football signed by the entire Denver Broncos team. Hi, everyone, and my name is Dr. Mike Roussell, nutrition advisor for Men's Health Magazine and six-time author. Now, I'm a nutrition PhD by education, but for the last 10 plus years, I've been working with world-class individuals, from professional athletes to top-tier business executives and even some Hollywood stars along the way. Now, helping them all figure out how to leverage the power of nutrition to be their best on the field, the boardroom, or in the set. Now, I've personally learned so much about success, dedication, commitment, and what drives these high-performing individuals. So I started Friday Fuel Up to share with you these incredible insights straight from the best in the world. Now today we have a special treat. We're going to be sitting down with registered dietitian Bryan Snyder. Now Bryan is the head of nutrition for the Denver Broncos. He's also worked with the Nuggets. He's also worked with the Avalanche. It's fair to say that at some point in time in the state of Colorado, if a professional athlete was eating something, Bryan had something to say about what that person was putting in their mouths. So he's really the best in the business. He's going to give us an inside tour of their facility as well, and we're giving away a football signed by the entire Denver Broncos team. So let's get into the interview with Bryan. All right, Bryan, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to Friday Fuel Up with Dr. Mike. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm really excited for the tour that we're going to show of the facility. And now you've been working with the Broncos for 13 years, so you are a legit nutrition veteran in professional sports and really just as a dietitian professionally in general. Like that is amazing that you've been optimizing performance for so long. So one of the things before we get started, I wanted you to share. We have a football, right? If you could show us that signed football that we have, and tell us exactly what this is.
Yeah, so this is just a team signed ball. So everybody's autograph is on this. So yeah, so that'll be the prize. So
So
this will be.
as my 13-year-old son told me as I was telling him, he goes, "Wait, everybody on the team signed it? That's amazing." So we
There's a
got
lot.
this.
There's a lot,
Uh,
but
yeah.
yeah.
So this is amazing because a signed team ball. So while during this interview and while Bryan's giving the tour of the facility, if you ask questions, just pop them in the chat. Bryan's going to be online so he can answer those questions. And the best question is going to get shipped that signed Denver Broncos football. So hope you're coming with some great questions. It could be the best giveaway. I thought a couple shows ago we gave away a snowboard. I thought that was it, but this could probably be the best giveaway that we've done. So thanks so much, Bryan, for helping getting the organization to donate that to the show.
No problem at all.
All right, so one of the things I was wondering, we were talking, you've been at the Broncos for a long time, so now they're probably like heavily ingrained in your system in view of nutrition and evidence-based performance. But when you first got there, were there some things, or what were the one or two things where you were like, wait a second, we're not doing this anymore, we have to do this instead? Like, what were some of the big changes you tried to make initially to really get the organization moving forward with this high-performance nutrition?
Yeah, well, I think anytime you go into a brand new program, and I was 21 when I started here full time, so just the right place at the right time, but I had no idea what I was doing. I just wanted to see. My first question was, what can we do to feed our players? How are we feeding our players? Because I think that before you dive into the micronutrients and the supplementation and working with injured players and injuries and things like that, I think you have to figure out how are our players eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What are they eating? What's the quality like? Are they staying in our facility to eat, or are they going to McDonald's and Taco Bell and stuff like that? That was really the first area that I looked at. So we had a catering company that was coming in. They were dropping off food, and at that time, that was kind of the standard operating procedure for a lot of the teams in the NFL.
Yep.
But I knew that over time, we wanted to make sure that we could bring it in-house and that we could have our own chefs and which is what we have now. And so the biggest thing that we looked at is how are we feeding our players, and then we were able to, over the scope of 4 or 5 years, be able to build a brand new kitchen, hire our own employees, source all of our food from good places, all organic fruits and vegetables, and that was really the thing that I looked at first and foremost. And so that was the starting point.
I think that's actually a really good parallel because, one of the things I'll always tell people nutritionally is the more food you're going to cook at home, because we're eating more and more foods out of home, and more foods that people eat out of home are generally going to be ultra processed foods. The more you can eat in home, the more you can prepare and consume these minimally and unprocessed foods, the healthier it's going to be. So I think that's interesting that you guys went for this. That was one of your first things, was how do we bring this in-house so we can have better control over the quality of the nutrition that these guys are getting. You get with the NFL, there's a lot of guys coming and going. You're always getting new rookies, guys coming on and off the practice squad, signing different players. So you probably have this flow of new players constantly. What are some of the things that you are specifically, when you get a new guy, you're like, hey, we got to talk about these things? And what are kind of the core nutrition habits that you look to nail down with new guys?
Most of the players that we work with here are players that are under consuming calories, and we have to factor in high altitude training. Typically, when guys are coming from sea level to high altitude, like here in Denver, carbohydrate needs go up, fluid needs go up too. And so the last thing we want is to sign a new player, have them come in, and have them end up being dehydrated and have a soft tissue injury. Or not consume enough calories. And so the big thing that I sit down and meet with the player on is, all right, how frequently are you eating? This is how you should be eating. You should be having a breakfast, lunch, dinner, having a snack in between, and you have to, consume another 24 to 36 ounces of fluids just because you're at such a higher altitude now. And so a lot of players just don't realize that. I mean, they just get signed yesterday. They come here. They're focusing on the playbook, meeting with their coaches. So a lot of times they just forget that. So those are the big things. Is all right, fluids, carbohydrates have to go up, and then the frequency in which they eat has to go up as well. Those are the big things that I like to hammer home with them.
So would you say with the altitude thing, I think this is super interesting, that the Broncos kind of have an advantage over the rest of the league coming into this because you guys are acclimated at, Mile High Stadium. You guys are acclimated like higher altitude than everybody else. So when teams coming in, that's an issue. Or when you guys are going other places, you're used to a different oxygen saturation. Do you consider that an advantage?
Yeah, and I mean, we talk to the players, about that every once in a while, and I always like to just kind of pick their brain on how they feel, if we're playing, on a coast somewhere versus here. They don't really feel a huge difference, our own players, but I do know the players that come here to Denver from other areas, they certainly, whether it's a placebo or not, they certainly feel a difference from the oxygen, and it is very real. I mean, high altitude training and performing at high altitude and being acclimated to that is certainly a benefit. So that's just a built-in benefit that we get just being here in Colorado.
What are some of the favorite meals or snacks? Give me top 3 favorites that you find are something that the guys keep asking for and that you're always feeding them.
So I think that, players, they come from all different areas of the country. So we have a lot of guys from the South. They always, anytime we do fried chicken or like a deep Southern, flavor, whether it's, grits or, fried okra, things like that, guys love that. One of the things that we end up doing quite frequently is like, from a snack standpoint, we do like a pistachio and date crusted like bite or ball. Pretty easy to make. The recipes are right on the website. It takes like 30 minutes to make. We have those all the time. It's just a quick snack. Players being able to go over there.
I'll put those. I'll put a link to the recipe in the chat so people can see that. That's a good one.
Yeah, perfect. The other one that we do a lot, specifically to pistachios, we do a pistachio encrusted salmon. And so we're looking to reduce inflammation and just get the leanest and healthiest protein that we can in our players. Salmon fits that mold, and so does pistachio. So we do like a nice pistachio encrusted salmon. That recipe's also on there that we can put in the chat. That's another one that we do frequently. If not every week, every couple of weeks. But I think those are really the big things. I mean, anytime, like I said, we can do some fried food because we do a lot of our meals are healthy. A lot of our training table is very healthy. I think that NFL players have the flexibility to have a cheat day here and there. It's not perfect. They want to have some fried food every once in a while. it's totally fine as long as they're not doing it every single day. So we try to strike that balance, between what's healthy and what's good, and something that's going to kind of help with morale and being able to be in our facility every single day for 5 months. So we kind of try to strike that balance as much as we can.
Yeah, I think that's great. I was actually going to ask you, and you answered the question before I even asked it about balance. Like, you said some fried chicken, some fried okra. Some people are probably thinking like, wait a second, how is the team dietitian letting them eat fried food? Because it is balance. And, we had on the second episode of the show, we had a nutritionist for NASA. And one of the things that their research found was that when you tightly restrict people's intakes, that their performance decreases, and that they actually give their astronauts a lot of choice. They help them. It's really exactly what you do. You educate them on how these different things are going to help them, and then you give them choice, and they make those choices, and that actually leads to greater performance. So I think that's great that you highlighted that. So now I'd like to we have to get to the part of the show. It's a little bit early in the show because we're going to do the tour. So we usually save this for last, but now we have the Pistachio Challenge, and I'm going to get mine up because people want to make sure that I'm not cheating. And get some pistachios up. So this is the deal. We got 30 seconds on the clock, and you're going to shell as many pistachios as possible. If you get 15, I'm just going to tell you you're going to win, because consistently I'm not hitting those numbers. I will tell you I have beat a NASA scientist, and I have not beat an Olympic gold medalist. So, you got some stiff competition here. I'm going to hit the timer. And so what you're going to do is, and also one other thing, because I know sometimes people cheat. If in your bowl of pistachios, there happens to be a pistachio that's pre-shelled, please don't count that. Okay. We're going to throw 30 seconds up on the clock. We're going to shell like crazy. I'm going to try to distract you, and may the best man win. Oh, wait. Also, if you beat me, you get a year's supply of pistachios. So that's also the carrot we're dangling, or the pistachio we're going to dangle in front of the horse here. Ready, set, go. My kids make fun of me when I lose, so I gotta really go at this. So when you guys have other teams come, do you provide them with food? And by provide them with food, do you give them bad food on purpose? Or are they responsible for their own food?
They are 100% responsible for their own food. We might give them some bananas and oranges and a lot.
Time's up. Hey, stop shelling. I see you cheating over there. All right, count them. 2, 4, 6. Oh, man. What do you got?
I got 10.
I got 10 too. Oh, you're like, I have been fighting a cold, so you're lucky I'm a little lethargic. A tie. So I could do two things. I could send you half a year's supply of pistachios, because we tied. Or as a good sport, I think I'm going to talk to some people and we'll get you a full year's supply of pistachios, which you've probably never gotten this because not many people get a year's supply of pistachios shipped to their house. It's a lot of nuts. So I know you got a lot of kids, so it'll probably be gone in like a month. But we'll get that supply of pistachios down to you. So this is going to end like kind of our interview portion, and I'm so excited as we move now on next to the tour. And again, during the tour, everybody throw your questions in the chat. Bryan's going to be there to answer questions along with myself. Best question wins that incredible team-signed football.
My name is Bryan Snyder. I'm the Director of Team Nutrition here for the Denver Broncos, and I am going to do a tour of our kitchen, cafeteria, and nutrition department. We basically serve all of our players, all of our coaches, all of our staff here in the cafeteria. Obviously with different COVID protocols, things are a little bit different right now, but we have a ton of resources here to take care of our guys. So one of the cool additions that we have is we have kind of like a UV light little garden over here where we do strawberries, tomatoes, herbs. We do a bunch of things over here that we do for our salad bar, and we're able to actually use some of this, put it over in the salad bar, and be able to actually utilize that as just another fresh and organic option for our players. So we just started that this year. It's kind of a cool thing, so guys have enjoyed being able to utilize that. Coming over here, this is kind of our snack shack. So we've got, we place a big emphasis on recovery, hydration, healthy snacks. We have some unhealthy snacks too, but we've got just a variety of anything that we can do from a recovery standpoint for our players. So we've got everything from sunflower seeds to pistachios to trail mix, fig Newton bars. We place a big emphasis on recovery. We place a big emphasis on reducing inflammation and building up our immune system. So we do a lot with core shots. We do a lot with pure green shots. And we do a lot of things that just can kind of help with our immune system. So a few of the things that we have over here is we have beet shots, we have tart cherry juice. We use a lot of those to help reduce inflammation. Beets are actually vasodilators, so they kind of open up our blood vessels, help it oxygen pump everywhere a lot quicker. We have our protein snacks here, some of our quick carbohydrate snacks over here. We do a lot of ready to drink shakes from Gatorade, Core Power, Rock and Refuel. When players are done lifting weights and when they come through the cafeteria, this is like the main area that they come to help get their bodies recovered. Again, help with inflammation. We line up these little shots in the morning for our players to be able to have just with their breakfast to help boost up their immune systems. Everything, we have a variety of different teas. We've got Gatorade, water, you name it, we have it here. So it's a really high-end gas station kind of over here with healthy foods, a lot of organic foods, and a lot of things to just help with our players. So the Broncos provide great resources, Mr. Ellis, Mr. Payton, Mr. Elway, to be able to really get our guys taken care of. So we place a big emphasis on sleep, the importance of sleep. We do a lot of education in here. We do a lot of cooking demonstrations back here with our rookies, so they're able to teach them how to cook, some simple recipes. So we do carbohydrates, protein, we do fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds. These are kind of the three areas that we're really trying to push. Obviously pushing protein for muscle regeneration and repair, carbohydrates for the quick energy, for on the field fuel. And that's our main focal point with that. We'll head to the back kitchen. So we're lucky enough to have about 10 different employees. So we have myself, we have four full-time employees. We have chefs in the back. We have an executive chef, 2 sous chefs. We have a front of the house, back of the house chef. These are all full-time Broncos employees, so we don't outsource it from anywhere. These are just our own people here inside our facility, which is an awesome resource to have. So this is our kitchen. This is where all of our chefs, we have our executive chef, Chef Justin. This is where our full-timers and our part-time staff are back here cooking food every day. So pretty good-sized kitchen. We've got our walk-in, we've got our walk-in dry storage, we've got our walk-in refrigerator, walk-in freezer. And like I said, Chef Justin does a great job being able to source as fresh a product as we can. This is where it all happens in the back of the house here in the back of the kitchen. So.
All right, everybody. So that was an incredible interview and then inside tour with the Denver Broncos. And I appreciate we got all kinds of questions that started coming in there towards the end of that conversation that I had with Bryan and his tour. We'll make sure that Bryan's going to get to all those, even if he does so right after the show ends. We are also going to follow up directly, since we have so many questions coming in. We'll follow up with the winner of the football directly after this. We're just going to let some more of those questions trickle in and let Bryan get back to them. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Friday Fuel Up with Dr. Mike. Next time, January the 7th, first Friday in January, we actually have, this is so cool, we have Dallas Seavey. Dallas is a 5-time winner of the 1,000-mile Iditarod dog sled race. He was actually the youngest person to ever win the Iditarod. And so that's going to be an incredible interview. It's so fascinating. He's a third-generation dog sled racer. It's going to be such a cool interview. So make sure you tune in at this time on Friday, January 7th, so you can hear this interview with Dallas. Thanks again. Thanks so much to our sponsors, American Pistachio Growers. Everybody, have a great December.